Hey guys, Michael here. Another short video. Another pair of 75-cent records by the same artist. I've never had these albums before, but I certainly remember this band from my youth. Or it's not a band, excuse me. This vocal group. So I'm gonna show them both. This one is in really good shape. Harpers Bizarre, feeling groovy, and just might as well show you this too. These are first presses, both of them, on the gold Warner Brothers 67 gold Warner Brothers label. The other one is Harpers Bizarre, Anything Goes. Not in quite as good a shape. It's splitting out at the bottom a little bit and what have you. But the album itself is, again, in magnificent condition. And here again, beautiful gold cover. And I want to say a few things about this. This is certainly not psych. What it really is, first of all, I suspect that Harpers Bizarre was one of those things that kind of got picked up. They were originally from Santa Cruz. I've read that on the back of the covers. And what they are, they're a vocal group that pretty much in line with any vocal group that you might find in a college or whatever, kind of a men's singing group who are going to entertain you with light, middle-of-the-road song stylings. That's really what it is. That's really what they are. That somehow, well, and partly because of the song Feeling Groovy, or 59th Street Bridge song, which is the most twee song that Simon & Garfunkel ever did, if you ask me. It's a good song. It's an okay song. I like it. I prefer Simon & Garfunkel's version, frankly, but I remember when this was a hit. The thing is that when you listen to it, it's sort of sad the way they were marketed, because they were marketed in such a way that there was a term back then, plastic. And this really comes across, as far as the liner notes, as plastic. I mean, they're talking about this one. I posted a photograph of this on my Facebook page and said, "Welcome to Psychedelphia." That psychedelphia is actually that word I got from these liner notes, talking about how Santa, where did I say they were from? Santa Cruz, is kind of a boring town. Well, that's interesting. We'll have to, jump forward about 20 years, and you've got things like Leftover Salmon and Camper Van Beethoven playing there and stuff. So hey, I guess it didn't stay boring. And it talks about how hip they are, and it talks about their hair and just crap like that, trying to present these guys as though they're some kind of anti-establishment hipster groovy guys, sort of that Nehru jacket gold chain thing. Sammy Davis Jr. did that, and I found it kind of distasteful because it always struck me as trying to sort of cash in on being a swinging hipster, because that was the new thing, baby. It was groovy. And the problem is, of course, that sort of thing never lasts. At the same time, though, these guys are really good. And I just wish they'd been presented as what they were. And I think, I kind of remember a certain derisive attitude towards them in the 60s. Come to the Sunshine is written by Van Dyke Parks, a brilliant man who never ever in any way attempted to be, hip. He didn't give a crap about that. He had his own interests, and of course he's very, very well known. Also songs on here, Raspberry Rug, written by Leon Russell. Paul Simon is of course, written. Randy Newman, a couple of songs by Randy Newman and others. I mean, so great songwriters. But then here in the middle of it, almost to reassure the neurotic white suburbanite parents, is a cover of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Happy Talk, and done in the blandest imaginable way. And that is one thing about this band, this vocal group, they're not a band, is that there is a certain blandness to their delivery. Somebody just decided, hey, I think we can market these guys by, putting them out. This album has some of the great songwriters of all time. I mean, there are, let's see how many. Well, I've got to find them now. But Cole Porter, Van Dyke Parks again, Doug Kershaw. This is actually, I think, a better album than Feelin' Groovy by a far, by quite a way. Yeah, the first two songs on this album basically are Cole Porter songs. Randy Newman again a couple of times, and then the unfortunate addition of Chattanooga Choo Choo. And there was that kind of thing in the 60s that had pretty well played it, so where it was kind of a fun thing, and you had bands covering stuff like Winchester Cathedral and what have you, all sort of sparked or fired up this 20s and 30s music revival by, I think, probably, the movie, Faye Dunaway and Bonnie and Clyde. All of a sudden, and the mod thing had a certain nostalgic look back in terms of clothing styles and what have you, when you're getting to big chalk striped suits and all of that kind of thing, So that's kind of what happens. I would say this is by far the better album. Both of them are certainly good and acceptable, and a good use of what could have been nothing but elevator music singers. And most of the credit for that, I think, goes to the majority of the songs and the writers of those songs, who are among the best. A lot less credit goes to them themselves, who, as I've said, seem to be as vanilla as they can possibly be. But there was that sort of market and that kind of thing. This is the kind of an album that your parents might have bought you in 1967 for Christmas or your birthday or something, wanting to give you something that they thought and hoped would satisfy your urge and for pop music, and yet not make them feel threatened like they might have felt if they'd bought you a Kinks album or Revolver or something like that. So okay, that's it. Harpers Bizarre. I know they have some other albums out there, and again, I initially I thought, I think I'm just gonna get rid of these. But I've listened to them a couple of times, and the more I listen to them, the more I think, maybe I'm going to hang on to them and keep looking around. I'd never pay big bucks for one of their albums, I don't think, but I'd sure buy one in great condition if I could pick it up on the cheap. And kind of interesting, and their time, I played the Anything Goes album last night. I love Cole Porter, by the way. So that's maybe part of it right there. And truthfully, I love almost all of the songwriters. And that's the thing. The songwriters are great. The renditions are mostly, I tend toward just simply being innocuous. but they are definitely a part of that time, and right in the thick of it. The attempts at being hip, the liner notes on the back of this, talk about the guy's hair, for Christ's sake. In 1967, if you were still talking about hair and clothing styles of a band, it was obvious that that band was trying too hard. And I think that's kind of the thing. That was a done subject by 65. For me, anyway. I don't know, maybe some other people, 67, it was still such a new thing, the mop tops. Hadn't they been around for like 3-4 years by then? So, whatever. They are what they are, and they are worth listening to.